to show you how to make these cute surgeon cookies. I will be using this cute Santa cookie cutter from Ann Clark, this heart from I Forget Where, and this raindrop from I Forget Where. First, I'll start with the easiest, which is going to be the drop of blood. It's very simple. If you need a sugar cookie recipe, you should check out my first episode on how to make the best sugar cookie. So obviously for a drop of blood, we're going to use red icing. You can learn how to make this kind of icing in my episode 2. In there I talk about the different consistencies you need for decorating these cookies. This is the outlining consistency. It's a bit stiffer than the flooding consistency. So then we're gonna flood with red icing. So if you're like me and before you start decorating cookies, you used to watch a lot of videos of people decorating cookies and they go so fast and it looks like it's so easy and it just takes like a couple seconds to decorate a cookie. Just know that all those videos are sped up like 8 times or more. Nobody decorates cookies that fast, or maybe you can decorate them that fast, but they're not going to look good. It takes time to decorate each cookie. So now I take my scribe tool, or you can use a toothpick, and just spread the icing out to the edges, and make sure you run your scribe tool through the icing a couple times, just to try to get out any air bubbles that might be in there. Sometimes I give the cookie a little shake just to get the icing to settle out. So this technique is called wet on wet. So I'm using flooding consistency white icing to make a little reflection on the blood drop, just to make it look a little bit more like a drop of liquid. So I had a little trouble with it coming off there, but I can fix that little wiggle with my scribe tool. No big deal. And now I'm going to decorate the heart, which is the second easiest cookie in this set, in my opinion. Take it slow when you're outlining. Try to let the tip of the piping bag go ahead of the icing. The icing should kind of drag behind it, and that helps you to get the icing to lay flat. Now this is flooding consistency that I'm going to fill the heart with. You want to try to make sure you apply the same amount of pressure all throughout the cookie as you're filling it. A lot of times we tend to use a little bit more pressure around the outside and then kind of lighten up in the middle, but to prevent cratering, you want to make sure that you use the same pressure throughout. And I always add a little extra right in the middle. So this flooding icing might seem a little bit thick to you, but lately I've been getting a little bit of cratering in my cookies, so I'm trying to thicken up the flooding icing a bit to prevent that. And as long as the icing smooths out at the end, it's fine if it's a little bit thicker than 10 seconds. So now with black icing, I'm going to add the squiggly lines on the heart monitor. I'm not sure what those are called. Is it ECG or something like that? The little squiggly lines that record the electrical activity of your heart. Whatever those are, looks like this patient is alive. Looks like we have a good surgeon working on this patient. And that was pretty easy. And now we get to our surgeon. So before I drew on this cookie, this is my sketch on paper. First I drew this guy and I didn't like him. And then I ended up with this one and I liked him, except for that eye. So I drew what I wanted him to look like with an edible yellow marker. I used yellow, of course, because it would be the least visible on this white cookie. So then if you do draw on your cookie before you ice, make sure that your outline kind of goes just outside of your pen line so that can't be seen when you're finished. So first I decided to do his shirt and his hat, or whatever that thing is called, head covering. So again, slow and steady. This is how slow it takes. This is about how slow you should outline. I'm gonna speed it up a little. So now I'm going to flood in those parts I just outlined, except I am going to just flood the shirt because I want the pants to look separate from the shirt. So after you flood these, then the next thing you want to flood is something that is not touching either one of those, because you want both of those green parts to dry for like, I don't know, about 15 minutes before you do something that's going to be touching it. Because I don't want the wet on wet look for this. Okay, next I'm going to do the band on his headlight. I'm going to outline that first and then fill it with some flood. I'm also going to do his shoes at this time since his shoes are black also, and they're separate from the other parts that are already iced. Okay, now I'm going to do the pants, and if you noticed, in the other cookie I had made a line down the center of the pants, but for this I decided I didn't want to do that after all. I'm just going to fill in all the pants and then I'll put the pant leg separation as a detail on top. And now I'm going to add the light on his headlamp with gray. Now let's add his gloves. So I'm going to do his gloves and his mask white, so I'll do those both at the same time. Now I'm back to some green outline icing. I'm going to add a few details on his clothes. Just some lines to make it look like his head thing is stretched. Gonna add his sleeves. And a little pocket. And a drawstring on his pants. And then the little line to separate his pant legs. Voila! Now for some extra fun and cuteness, I'm going to take a little bit of silver edible dust from bakeale.com and I'm going to brush that over his lamp to make it look a little shiny, like metal. It's hard to see that in the video, but it makes it a little sparkly. Super cute. I'm going to add the light there in the middle with a little bit of yellow. And then I'm going to fill in his face and his neck. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to turn the camera back on when I was finishing up the surgeon's face and his knife and scissors. So instead, I thought I would just show you this amazing portrait my friend's mom painted of me when I was in high school. If you enjoyed this video, please like and click that little Studebakery and Strings logo button to subscribe to my channel. And please let me know in the comments if you have any ideas for a cookie you'd like to see me decorate, or a song you'd like to hear me play.